Hello, and welcome back to Jeff's Giant Growing Journal. Just thought I'd go through my seed selection this year for Pumpkin Wars and let you guys know what I'm going to be growing and a little bit about what I'm going to do for soil prep. It's still a little early for me to be doing soil prep. The way-offs are a little bit later this year, so the hard part about doing everything is watching everybody around you get started and they're putting seeds in the ground, getting soil done, getting hoops up and everything, and you got to sit back. It's very difficult to do, and not something that I really want to do. I really want to kind of get out here and get things done and taken care of, but I know that the smarter thing is to run my own race, and the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to just stay out of the patch, not really get those amendments in just yet. But I'm going to explain what I do and why I do what I do as far as the amendments go. But first, and probably the most important part of this video is the seed selection for this year. So this year, I'm growing 3 plants. I'm going to have a full-size plant here in the greenhouse. I'm going to have a full-size plant up there, and I'm going to have a 150 square foot squash plant that I'm going to be growing. So for the squash plant, for my 150 square feet, I'm actually going to be growing my 563 that I grew last year. It is the 563.5 tile. It was grown here in the greenhouse last year. It ended up being on a tertiary, one of the reasons why it was the size that it was. So I'm going to grow that one. I'm going to put that out in my 150 square foot patch, and I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it as hard as I can. My goal for that patch is 1109 and a half. I haven't kept that quiet. I'm kind of letting that out. It's one of my goals for this year. The world record for a squash in 150 square feet is 1109. My goal is to break that record. Last year I kind of gave up. It was just a bad year for me. Things didn't go the way I wanted to, and I gave up. Giving up, and I still grew a 962 pound, turned out to be a pumpkin in 150 square feet. I figure the 1109.5 would be an achievable goal. So we'll see what happens, but that's my goal. The 150 square foot, because it's the only squash I'm growing this year, I'm actually going to start it out later. I don't know exactly when yet, but I'm going to start it later. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know when I'm going to start any of my seeds yet. My original date was April 10th, but with the way-offs being later, I may kick it back to the 15th or maybe even the 20th. I'm not sure yet. So I've got some time before I really have to worry about doing a whole lot of patch prep and taking care of everything like that. Another seed that I'm growing, the 1813.5 Pew. Russ was kind enough to send me a few of these, even bought some in auction as well. But I picked it because it went 22% heavy. The pollinator of the 1813 went 22% heavy. And I'm kind of partial to the pollinator. It was the 1747 Handy. That's the same seed that grew my 2195 that went 15% heavy. So the Handy seed has a record of going heavy. And so I want to grow that heavy seed. And I'm actually going to cross it with another heavy seed that I'm probably going to end up growing outside because I told him I would, and that is the 1989.5 Conway. That seed went heavy as well. That was grown off the 2356 Mendy. It went 18% heavy. Unfortunately, Tanner lost his 1747 that pollinated this, so we don't know how heavy that one would have went, but given the track record of the Handy seed, I'm sure that it would have went heavy, and especially, Tanner's not one to really go heavy a lot, but he went pretty heavy last year on that Mendy seed, so I'd imagine that Handy seed would have went heavy as well. So I'm going to cross heavy with heavy, and hopefully we come up with some nice and heavy genetics and heavy fruit this year. But as far as my patch prep and what I'm going to be doing, let me get you turned around here. So basically what I'm going to be doing, and I started this a couple years ago, but if you see here, you see that black cable, that is actually a soil heating cable. I've left it in the ground over the winter. Have not checked it, haven't tested it. Really hoping that it works, but to be perfectly honest with you, I have no idea if it does or not. It is a gutter cable, so it's a little bit more heavy duty than just a regular soil heating cable. But basically what I'm going to be doing is I'll put my hoop house up over top of those soil heating cables, those gutter cables, and then I will amend from the back wall out about 10 feet. And I'll till all that in. And I'll put my hoop house up over top of that. And then as the plant grows and I take the hoop house down, I will amend the next 10 feet. And then as the plant grows and gets past that, I will do the last 10 feet. So I will eventually have everything. That pile right there is dried molasses. I've been adding that for a few years. I had a couple bags here in the greenhouse, and something decided that it wanted to get into that bag. So I've got a big pile there. I'll have to get spread out. But I just add that into my soil as part of my amendments, just to add some sugars and kind of help wake up the soil, so to speak. And add that for the microbes. That's really the biggest reason and only reason that I add it. But so yeah, that's kind of a quick rundown of what I do. If I can, this week I think is when I'm going to be working on patch prep. Not going to get too crazy with it because, like I said, I'm not planning on starting seeds till probably the earliest of the 15th. It's still a little early for me. Feels like I should be ready to go. We actually got an 80-degree day coming this week. It's going to feel like spring. It's going to feel like go time, and need to do it just yet. I got myself into trouble last year because I was not running my own race, and that's something I need to keep track of this year, is just running my own race. That's the way to win pumpkin wars. That's the way to win weigh-offs. That's the way to grow big fruit. Run your own race. So as far as amendments go, I use the Langley soil calculator. So me telling you what I'm adding really does you no good, because what I add is based off of my soil test and what I determine I need based on the Langley soil calculator. So soils are different. Every test is a little bit different, and what I need is probably not what you're going to need. So if you have any questions, please drop them down below. Subscribe to me, subscribe to Jay, Chris, and Scott, and watch us along this year in Pumpkin Wars. Make sure you pick your team by May 31st. It's an early cutoff date this year. So you got till May 31st to pick your team. You can pick Team Jeff, the winner. You can pick teams. I don't know who's going to get fourth. It's going to be a three-way tie, I think, for fourth place, which actually would be second place also. Probably under 1,000 pounds. I don't know. My 150 will probably beat them. But yeah, you got until May 31st to pick your team. So figure out who you want to cheer on and root on and get some seeds from. And make sure you comment below, comment on any of our videos or any of the Facebook pages that we're in, and we'll get you added to the list. Good luck this year. God bless, and grow big.